Hello, and thank you so much for joining us for your ROH post show for Thursday, March 21st. Oh my goodness. The app was working today. Reg isn't celebrating his birthday month like some white girl. He's actually here today, all right? We're hanging out. We're talking some ROH. And we appreciate you tuning in for our ROH and, of course, our TNA post show on the back half of this as well. Looking forward to digging in, and we would love some support from you guys. We always ask for this laundry list of things up front, but they're appreciated if you could leave a thumbs up on this video. It helps people find us in the algorithm, and we are kind of the little post show that could over here. So very much appreciated if you wouldn't mind leaving a thumbs up. Also, we'll remind you to subscribe to FightfulSelect.com. So much going on. I'm sure there'll be Supercard news as we continue down the mountain. Contract news all year, all the time. News about Matt Hardy that was broken earlier last week. What else we have? There's a lot going on. Lots going on FightfulSelect.com, including Ask Rhapsody every other week with this fella and the wonderful
ding, 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 ding.
Phil Lindsay as well. Reg. And super chats. You guys know that, right? If you want a question or statement read on air, super chats. I was like, there's a third thing that I'm missing. And the reason that I was steamrolling through it is because I'm so excited. We're coming down the mountain to Supercard of Honor, and Reg, I get to see you in person for this.
Yes, Supercard of Honor. The Ring of Honor post show is going to be live, not live because I don't even know. We have to figure out actually what's going to go on in the Ring of Honor post show because both of your hosts here will be live in attendance, and I am very excited, Kate. We are getting a very emotional long-term main event with Eddie Kingston and Mark Briscoe, and the finals we'll talk about here of the Ring of Honor Women's Television Tournament. Amazing. Shida and Athena. Like, this card is already going to be amazing, and my friends are all going to be around. It's great. I can't wait.
I am very much looking forward to that. We never really have problems with the pay-per-views, right? The things that we usually have problems with are in between pay-per-views and the builds into them. Some good and some bad with some of the longer-term stories that we're getting. I'm very excited for Mark Briscoe and Eddie, and I'm very excited for Athena and Shida, but it's kind of like, hey, remember 8 months ago when we teased this thing? Now we're going to deliver on it with hardly any build, but great matches ahead of us. A great time to be had at Supercard. So let's dig in to the episode that we got today. There are more of you watching than when we started at the beginning of the show. So we'll remind you to please leave a thumbs up and send in super chats if you would be so kind. But overall, the past couple of weeks, we've just had like these hour mini episodes. I like the 1 hour format. I get enough wrestling. I am delighted when these are smaller rather than, hey, here's some relevant matches and a bunch of superfluous ones. Love wrestlers getting a payday. Don't get me wrong. That makes me very happy. But for product cohesion, these pared down episodes are pretty all right when your co-host doesn't bail and you have to talk about them alone. It's kind of nice to have these shorter episodes, and pretty much everything we've got tonight had some sort of end game, which I very much appreciated. Little confused about what's going on in the TV title picture, but we'll get to all of that and more. But Reg, what did you think of what we got overall tonight?
Yeah, for kind of the same things that you're describing here. These shorter episodes are great when you talk about as much wrestling as we do on podcast and you have to do post shows and things. And you're like, let's kind of just get to it. Ring of Honor, for some weeks we would come on this show and there'd be some filler. There'd be a Serpentico match and a John Cruz match and a Pendejo match. And it's like, all right, you guys, like, we get it. We got it. We understand. You want to get everybody a shot. You want to have more matches, but really just like get to exactly what it is. And I love that this episode is just like Ring of Honor Women's Television Championship focus. That's what we're here to see. There's a couple of dudes here possibly if you want to, but it's really about that. And the focused episodes just feel better. They just feel more, they feel like something when stakes are involved, it just makes all the TV better.
You know, and really they feel truer to the brand, Reg. That's how I feel, is like this feels more like the Ring of Honor that we've grown to know and love. We'll get in a little bit because this is a shorter episode. We've got some breathing room, and I did just want to pick your brain on some things because we still have a quenched thirst situation that we need to get to regarding these titles. The 6-man, no idea where they are. Tag titles, no program for them. Pure title, out of commission. TV title, didn't see it tonight. Both world titles have some clarity around them, but for so long it felt like we were back on track. And then the weeks you were out, I guess this is why they were like, we don't have Red reviewing. We have no idea. We have lost our compass entirely.
That's true.
Without his feedback, we are lost. But it did feel like we're getting closer to Supercard and we were losing the build. There's not a lot of titles around here. Obviously, we have this tournament final, which is going to be great. But are you still feeling like, man, the product has gotten better, but the absence of champions is still hurting over here?
You know, Kate, when you started going through the list of the championships, I had to like go through my Rolodex of brain of figuring out who all the guys were that are attached to these championships. And that's not a good thing. It's like, it seems like every time they make someone a champion, they are immediate. It's like that's their golden ticket to the main roster. And I'm like, I don't really understand. Like, that's cool. That feels like a good thing for those people. But like, why don't you just make someone champion that's here? Like, if Lee Johnson's going to be here, give him a belt. If this person's going to be here, give them a belt. It just makes more sense that the people that you're focusing the brand on, you give them the championships. Like, as soon as they give Lee Johnson a belt, then he's going to be on Collision the next week. And it's like,
yeah, he's on Rampage all the time.
I'm like, well, what's going on here? It doesn't really make sense. Going into this pay-per-view, there's, like I described, there's going to be some great matches, like the 3 or 4 we have announced, super fire. But like the rest of it is like, next week they're gonna say it, like we're gonna get all like 8 matches announced in 1 week, and I know they're gonna be fire because they always are. But if there was a little bit more to it, it probably would be a little bit more satisfying, I think.
It does feel like the only people being built in ROH on the men's singles side are Ethan Page and Lee Johnson, to your point. Like, it does not feel like we're building up credible contenders, and I think that's why we got almost this. And I'm excited for it, and it was teased, but this Mark Briscoe kind of feels like an empathy or pity match coming back around to it. So it does feel like we have this tug of war. I think the pay-per-view is going to be great. I really liked what we got tonight, but we are just parched for some present champions. So,
like, where is Ethan Page at? Wasn't he supposed to? He's like the face of Ring of Honor for a bit, and I don't know what happened.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, I can tell you this much. He's the Excite Wrestling World Champion because I got to do commentary for one of his matches, and what a wonderfully kind and genuine human being Ethan Page is. Like, I have only the most wonderful things to say about him and our interactions and the way he was acting backstage. In our conversation, he had a lot of pride for what was going on in Ring of Honor. You saw it in his post interview on the last pay-per-view that he's trying to step up and be that guy and take pride in this brand. It would be nice if that was reciprocated with some champions on the show. And also, Reg, before we dive in, when I was talking to myself when you weren't around, I also don't love necessarily what it does on the AEW product. When I was watching Revolution, which one of the strongest pay-per-views in AEW history, if you're a casual or someone who is just kind of diving in, it creates a little bit of chaos from the perspective of everybody that walks out there seems to have a title because you have all these ROH titles on there and all these AEW titles. If the title is supposed to be indicative of like, oh, this person's extremely important and everybody's running around with one, unless you are in on those stories, it's like, well, hell, everybody's got a belt around here, I guess. What are we actually settling? So do you feel like it's also become a bit of a crutch in AEW? Because that occurred to me over the past couple of weeks a little bit more.
Yeah, that the little word that you said, that forbidden word of casuals, there are actually, it sounds crazy enough, AEW fans who are casual to Ring of Honor. They don't know about that. There's some people that see the Bang Bang Gang or these people walk out the Kingdom and they're like, well, what are those belts? Where did they get those? Why do they have those? And why aren't they defending them? They don't watch Ring of Honor. They don't know the stories behind them. They're just carrying these random belts. And it's like, well, why are those here? Yeah, it does feel a little bit like, I don't really know what the championships are supposed to represent. You know what I mean? It's like, if it gets to the main brand, like you're saying, everyone has a championship. So like, what are the Ring of Honor ones supposed to represent when we're not even defending them? I think is the worst part. Like, if they're up there and we're defending them and they have a little bit of something, then yeah, I understand. But if they're just there for looks, why?
Agreed. And I think it occurred to me most on Revolution because one, I was watching it with people, some of who were a little bit more casual to the product. And two, I was like, there's some people that are tuning in for the first time for Sting's last match. Like, they bought the pay-per-view just for that experience. Sure, and if they tune in to the rest of the show, they're probably like, first of all, everybody's reaction seemed to be, holy crap, Will Ospreay. This Will Ospreay guy is incredible from the people that I knew that weren't watching as regularly. And two, just like everyone has a dang belt around here. So just kind of some overall thoughts as we're going into it. I'm still excited for this pay-per-view. I'm still encouraged by a lot of the product, but
Totally.
we talk about it all here. We talk about it all, and we get to start with this really wonderful match between Billie Starkz and Mercedes Martinez. This was my favorite match of the tournament, maybe until what immediately followed it. Fire matches in both semifinals tonight. My goodness. Totally different matches, something that you and I had talked about, and I've continued kind of to talk about throughout the past couple of weeks of all of these matches have their own distinct personalities, and that's a really difficult thing to accomplish sometimes. But I felt like this very vibrant story in our opening match between this badass veteran and Mercedes Martinez, a former champion herself, and young Billie kind of sneaking this win on the roll up here. But just some really hard hitting action. The contrast between Billie and Mercedes was so much fun because you had like this 30-second stalling superplex in this match, and then you also had Billie just diving to the outside and nobody being home because Diamante pulled Mercedes out of the way. But that kind of like backyard style she has, combined with the smarts and the strength of Mercedes, made for such a fun combination. And honestly, I was expecting a really great match because they're both really wonderful, but the fact that they built so much story into this made me really, really, really happy. Really happy to see. I love that this opened the show. It felt great. I adored this match. I thought it was such a blast. That superplex for 30 seconds. Caprice goes 19, 20-teen, and I just lost it. I love commentary here, but Reg, what did you think of this match?
Yeah, Kate, I love the dynamic in this match of Mercedes being the hard-nosed veteran that's in here to rip Billie Starkz' head off. Billie Starkz being the charismatic heart, just fighting from behind, trying to get everything behind her. Usually I don't like interference spots of like Diamante was kind of playing a distraction role, but I thought it helped Billie Starkz in here because they're trying to get as much sympathy as they can all the way up in this tournament, and having that her overcome Diamante and Mercedes in the same match, I thought was a great move. Mercedes was just in here trying to kill Billie Starkz the whole time, destroying her with all kind of suplexes and slams, just being rude and disrespectful, the way we expect Mercedes to be. But Billie Starkz, from the beginning, has had so much confidence. Like, she, as soon as they announced this tournament, she was like, that's my belt. Like, there's nothing anybody can do in this tournament, on this brand, in AEW, that could stop me from getting this championship. And I thought that heart showed in this match. Really, really good semifinal match to kind of show like where both of these wrestlers have came, not only in the brand, but in this tournament. This was really cool. And Billie Starkz, like I said, like this is her tournament to lose, crazily enough, her being the youngest person in the tournament and kind of the freshest one. This match, this tournament, this championship, all hers. I'm excited for her. I was like genuinely excited for her winning this.
I really liked this too. And a couple of points that you brought up with Diamante playing the distraction. One thing that I loved is she just pulled Mercedes out of the way, right, on that dive spot, right? Like, so she was a distraction, but it was a very natural thing you would do of like, let me just yank you out of the way of something that is going to absolutely annihilate you, was something I would do for a friend. And then on top of that, Billie is a minion, but she's out there alone, and we know Athena's there tonight, and we know she doesn't have a match. So begs the question, where are my friends during my match to help equalize Diamante on the side? So just additional layers to what was a really simple and well-told story here. I absolutely adored it. I think we're headed toward the finals that we all assumed too, and we'll talk about our next match, which was, of course, Red Velvet and Queen Aminata. When you were looking at the brackets, man, it kind of felt like it could be Taya's. You could see legit Layla sneak in there, but it did kind of feel like as we went on with all of the with Billie's investment in the ROH brand and Queen Aminata's just very tipping of the hand promo time and a lot of this kind of felt like we were headed that way, but it's been a really well done tournament so far. Really well done tournament so far.
Definitely.
So we do move on to Queen Aminata and Red Velvet, with Queen Aminata getting the win and what has been It was a hell of a match and a hell of a showing from both of these women. Queen Aminata, notably from Caprice on commentary, in gear that was like in line with Ramadan traditions, and I just thought she looked amazing. I didn't even consider that it was because of Ramadan. I was just like, man, every time this woman walks out from behind the curtain, she looks incredible. So much presence, so much control, and Red Velvet obviously just also completely hideous on the other side.
Yeah.
Absolutely gorgeous. Hair and makeup on point tonight too. But this ends with Queen Aminata getting a rolling suplex on Velvet and the two of them trading blows until a super quick from Aminata puts Velvet out. Lot of fun to be had in this. It felt like this was kind of the most evenly matched Aminata was, which I feel like is a good sign for your semifinal. Her snap suplex is fantastic. Like, I love the way she delivers it, and I love the way she finishes it in particular. There's some people that when they're doing a snap suplex or any type of suplex, once they get through the your own weight took you over part, they kind of give up on the move. And I feel like she really, on a snap, really snaps it down, which looks great, especially with someone of Red Velvet's stature. And I also like Red Velvet in here taking out the taller woman with that big bulldog in this. And I said it on Twitter, and I'll say it right here too. Like, it says a lot about someone's work ethic to me that if you come back from injury a more complete wrestler than when you went out. She didn't shake off ring rust. This wasn't like, oh, I've been around for a couple months now and I refound my footing. She came back better. And that tells me a lot about how someone went through their recovery, how hard they worked. And it's not just that she looks better in the ring doing moves. It's the psychology that I mentioned. It's her movement within who she is as a character that is really, really popping off screen for me. Also, again, loving commentary as we're getting halfway, 3/4 of the way through this match. Ian saying, you know, I think Queen Aminata's right hands are like some of her most fierce weapons, and we haven't even seen them yet. Just little things like that making these tournament matches look so important. Both of these women's tournament matches, man, all praise from me. I loved it. What did you think of this match?
Oh, I needed a cigarette after this one. And I don't even smoke cigarettes. This match was everything that I could imagine these two women having. They got into a little bit of a feud on Twitter to get people invested in this match that I liked. Bring that stuff out of the ring too, just to get us excited about this. So I was excited coming into this match, Kate. But what these two women did in this match was so great. This was like, if you like Japanese Joshi wrestling, you like hard-hitting two women just trying to destroy each other while adding quickness and insane counters. The counters in this were so good. Like, Aminata just trying to stop Red Velvet. Red Velvet in that like Leo Rush style evasive, you got to catch me if you can. And then when Aminata catches her, she tries to put her down real hard with some kind of strike, a forearm or a headbutt or something. Red Velvet looked phenomenal in this. That apron spot, Aminata tries to hit Red Velvet with the German suplex, and Red Velvet hits my least favorite move in all of wrestling, but she makes it look awesome. One of the best spears that I've seen in a long time. I'm like, yeah, Red Velvet in this match, just like you said, ever since she's came back, it wasn't trying to get better, wasn't coming back rubbing ring rust off, wasn't coming back finding her footing in this division. No, she came back a better wrestler. She came back one of the best women in the entire division. And this match, the counter she was doing, some of the roll-ups she was doing, Red Velvet's training some lucha shit somewhere. I don't know where. But that shit looks great. I don't know who she's training with, but it's awesome. She has some really great, incredible counters in this. But Aminata, just kind of like Billie Starkz coming into this tournament, it was like, yeah, I think we kind of expect Aminata to be in the finals at minimum, just because of the run that she's been on. She's always featured on all the wrestling programs that AEW has to offer. But specifically, since she's been on Ring of Honor, she's been on an even crazier tear. Her matches are crisp, they're intense. That running knee counter knee thing she did to Red Velvet where she almost knocked her out of the ring,
Almost knocked me over. That was
Yeah,
so
she
she hit that
knocked
so
over the
hard. Yeah.
camera. Everybody was just knocked down by this. Just incredible work. Her confidence in this whole tournament, her confidence in this match, her strikes, her look. When she came out, same thing for that you were thinking. I was thinking it's like she just looks great, and they start explaining why. I'm like, wow, she's like trying to observe and trying to be, trying to think of those things, and she looks amazing regardless. Like it doesn't matter like how she is. Like both of these women, I don't want to take away from these matches, but both of these women are incredible at all aspects of life. And this match was probably the best one of the tournament, honestly. Like these two matches back to back to kind of finish off what this tournament is, what it represented, a brand new championship. This is how you do it. I'm very excited that Aminata got the win. She's going to challenge Billie Starkz, another great match on this Super Card of Honor card. And I think the future of this division, the future of this company are both of these wrestlers. So for them to be represented as the finalists for this new championship is perfect.
I agree. And I love the Lio Rush comparison you made. That was a really good call because there were so many moments of her trying to escape, and seeing her have these game plans that get executed in matches is something very different to me than when she used to. She's kind of moved towards Lio Rush away from Darby Allin. I used to feel like we got like a lot of extremely high risk stuff that made me extremely nervous, just like Darby's does. And now we've kind of tamed it a little bit and put like that kind of Lio Rush feel behind that. I really like that comp. I really like that a lot.
Yeah, there used to be some after Red Velvet matches where we're like, that was scary, lady. Like, yeah, like careful out there. And she's honed it in and just like got more ground base, gotten her strikes together. Her whole presentation has just improved.
And you mentioned her spear. It almost has that Ricky Starkz thing to me where it's her whole body going into it, which when you're smaller looks so effective because you're so committed to it. It'll never look like a Braun Breaker spear or a Goldberg spear or whatever. But there's something really cool when someone's like, my whole body is going. I know you hate spears in general. But when it is someone who's smaller and they put their every cell of their body into it, they look really good. And that is kind of what we got tonight. So both tournament matches, absolutely killing it. And we move backstage to Lexi Nair, who was talking to Kiera Hogan, who said she's feeling kind of good about her win last week. She lost in the tournament, but she won that 4 quarters match and she felt good. She calls out Diamante, who is challenging her for a rematch for the ROH Women's World TV Championship tournament match next week. I am looking very forward to that because I liked their first go around quite a bit. I think that'll be a really fun rematch to have. And I like that when you look at a tournament and you look at its potential and what gets fulfilled, sometimes there's a really big gap in the stories that get left on the table. That's my biggest pet peeve. It's probably why I like New Japan so much. They're like, we're going to do the G1 and everything's going to pay off because it's our programming for the year. Great. I'm in. So I like that they are continuing a story out of this tournament that doesn't necessarily have to do with this person won it. That's the story you get. Give me that extra juice. I love that. I like that there are follow-ups for these women coming out of it because while I don't love that Athena and Shida is like, hey, we teased this thing months ago and now here it is. The entire women's division was pretty much involved in this tournament. So if you're not setting up a story for Athena and someone else coming out of the tournament, she's got no challenger and she's the final boss of this shit, right? So you got to call somebody who has a reputation like Shida. But I really like this. I'm glad that Kiera Hogan and Diamante are going to have this rematch. Their first one was super intense and fun. Kiera Hogan just jumps off the screen every time she's on it. Like so much charisma, so much presence, something that is very unrepeatable about her, all in her own. I really love it. What did you think of this quick little vignette or backstage that we got? And are you excited for the rematch?
Yeah, I thought it was a really good promo. Kira's getting more and more confident with her promos as she's getting more TV time because that's all it is. It's like these ladies sometimes don't feel like enough. Like, oh, their promos aren't as well. It's because they don't get enough reps. They don't get to talk on camera. They don't get to talk in the ring. So, like, if you just give them more opportunities, they will. And Kira, I think, is a product of that. Yeah, anytime they tell more stories that aren't specifically to do with the title, this is kind of springing off of the championship. But any side stories, I think, are great. And their last match that they had was really fun. If they're giving more time, I think it'll be even better, because that's what the last match, if it had like 5 more minutes, I think it would have kicked into high gear. And I think they'll get that kick into high gear time on the next match. They both have been looking better as wrestlers with each match. I'm excited about Diamante every time I see her, but Kira's been on like some extra like motivated, like I know what's about to happen in the whole company, and I'm ready to be one of those ones. I'm excited for her.
I am too. I'm really excited for her. And I agree, like the reps that people are getting in ROH is something that's extremely valuable because they don't have a time limit, right? So they can scale up and down as they need to. Obviously, women's screen time was a huge problem in AEW just in general. So they weren't even getting it when there was just a main roster. And now with ROH, we're getting that and expanded screen time on the main roster, which is like the best of both worlds. So absolutely love to see that. And I agree with you. Kira just really stepping into herself of late. Speaking of people stepping into themselves, Lee Johnson really transformed as a wrestler. 8 wins in a row for Big Shotty Lee. He's against London Lightning, who was a hometown favorite in this. I'm not familiar with his work, but he looked pretty good in this. Crowd was very into it. And we get a big shot drop and Johnson getting the pin for the win. Not a surprise here. And of all the things on this card, this didn't have the most stakes, but I think what we're doing is picking up some momentum for Lee Johnson, and that's important. I like to see dudes looking dominant and winning on television. So even though this felt more throwaway match-ish, it's good. We're just building people up for this division. I was just saying at the beginning of the show, it feels kind of like just him and Ethan Page. So if those are the only 2 guys, hopefully we keep it moving in that regard. So good stuff here. I liked how London Lightning and Big Shotty Lee kind of interacted with Lee being a little bit more grounded and technical in this. This was short but effective. No problems with this. Any thoughts from you?
Yeah, a couple things that I liked about this is that it was London's hometown or home area. So Lee Johnson kind of went into a heel role, like a veteran role of like, I'll let you guys cheer this guy, but I'm going to heel it up, do some extra things that I maybe not would have done in other circumstances. I think that, of course, I've said on this podcast so many times, every time Lee Johnson is on the screen, he improves tenfold tremendously. And kind of seeing this and hearing what you have said, I'm like, the saving grace of this could possibly be if they do a #1 contenders match leading into Super Card of Honor with Ethan Page and Lee Johnson, maybe for Kyle Fletcher's championship. I'm like, that could potentially work with how they've been showcasing Lee, specifically like having him on this very women's heavy, tournament heavy episode still being featured. Like they're making an emphasis to be like, he's won 7 matches in a row. We're featuring him. He's getting better, all these things. If they do him and Ethan Page, with Ethan Page winning, for a shot at Kyle Fletcher, I think this could work out pretty well.
I agree. Excite heavyweight world champion, Ethan Page.
And
I put myself over, okay?
Might have sent somebody here on this podcast a very nice DM for their birthday. What a guy. Just a
what a gem.
Just
what a
like,
gem.
I'm like, give this guy the championship, Tony Khan. I'm tired of
just rooting for him for he's
Let's bias, you guys. I don't care. I love Ethan Page. He's awesome.
Forever baby face in our books. But legitimately also this story that they've been telling with Ethan Page of him like going back to his daughters and not having gold, right? And it being as much about the family as it is about the championship itself. Like they got to pay that off. You cannot do weeks of building that and just having it go nowhere. And also, Kyle Fletcher is back. He no longer has visa issues. Why isn't he in random tag team matches on Rampage? Put him on the damn show.
It's layers.
There are layers. There are layers. And speaking of layers, we appreciate the layers of support that you guys give us. If you could leave a thumbs up on this video, feel free to get in your super chats if there's anything specific you want to talk about regarding Super Card of Honor or this episode. We will keep you posted on what the heck is going to go on with the Supercard post show, but we got a couple of weeks to get there. We've got a little bit more episode left here in ROH world, including this backstage. It's so funny because we go through like, oh, this tournament match, we had this veteran versus this young upstart, and then these evenly matched competitors, blah, 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 blah. And then we just get Johnny TV and Taya Valkyrie, who have kidnapped Dalton Castle's boys and lost them, and they're nervous because bears were involved. Yep. Like, what a world professional wrestling is. Dalton Castle interrupts from the other side of the makeshift wall, which popped me tremendously. Taya Valkyrie, listen, Taya, the fact that you look so good tonight, and the fact that you have made all of these incredible health strides. She posted pictures. She looks wonderful. And she's very charismatic. And I know Johnny loves her, but that is never going to make up for the fact that they kidnapped and lost the boys. Okay?
They did.
I love her. I respect her as a performer, but they kidnapped the boys and they lost the boys. Okay? And now there's bears involved. And Dalton Castle is rightfully apoplectic because and Taya can't even tell you what type of bear it is. She's like, I don't know. We're in Canada. Is it a black bear? Is it a polar bear? I don't know. She doesn't even know what kind of bears might have gotten at Dalton and his boys. They have all these supplementary boys, all these wannabe boys on the side. There's like 4 of them, but they're not the boys. Dalton just incredible in this as always. So much fun. There's no really elaborating on what happened there. It's so funny though. Dalton just dismissive of these replacement boys, saying that single-use boys that you throw out when you're done. Single-use boys that you throw out when you're done is unintentionally the most hilarious and coldest line ever. And Lexi just tells Dalton, like, could you please stop interrupting all my interviews? You're throwing cheese out here. You're falling into road cases. Like, what is happening? Tons of chaos, but Lexi continuing to do an incredible job in everything that she's given. Absolutely hysterical. I can only pray, Reg, can only hope that the boys come out at Supercard of Honor, healthy, alive, there to help Dalton Castle. Everybody knows I'm a big Josh stan because I found out about him this year and nobody told me that there was ever a lumberjack in a WCW Battle Royal that was escorted into the ring by 2 bears who were so stoned they pissed the whole time down the ramp. No one ever told me that, which is ridiculous. Sorry. And they didn't tell me that he was WCW Trios champ with Z-Man and Dustin Rhodes. Nobody informed me. They just want to tell me about Doink. Yeah. So I'm hoping that those bears can get resurrected and take the boys down to the ring. There's some big Josh knowledge for you. I will shoehorn it into as many podcasts as I can. I love this story. I'm a sucker for it. There's some things in wrestling that are corny and not for me. There are some things that are corny in wrestling and very much for me. This falls into that category so hard. I love it. It is a blast. Are you having as much fun with this as I am, Reg?
Yes. First of all, I'm a big Josh fan, of course. Love the flannels. What a guy. Like, we have kind of a similar style, some would say. Me and Big Josh. And I thought this was tremendous. I think that Dalton Castle was already spiraling. He has been for a long time. Johnny TV and Taya have been destroying his life for the last couple months, but taking his boys and then losing them is like over the line. I think like Taya and Johnny are gonna they got to pay for this. They got to face like wrestler court or something has to happen off the backs of this because that's pretty rude. But if this does end with the bear that they're talking about being Bear Bronson from the Iron Savages, then maybe we could talk about this.
That's not a bad call. If it's the Bear Bros, the Iron Savages, I don't hate that at all. I think it's one thing to be vindictive and to steal boys. I think it's entirely another thing to be neglectful and lose boys. Honestly. And quite frankly, I was expecting better. Yeah, I was expecting better. I thought they were going to be
babysit 2 boys and you're not going to take responsibility and you're just going to go and lose them. Like, something has to happen.
It feels like they're very distracted filming Johnny Loves Taya, which you can catch every Wednesday. Somebody clip that. Everybody will call me a shell. I don't give a shit. I'm out here saying I would like more wrestling on a wrestling show, and that's controversial. So I don't give a shit. How
Why
about
are you
that?
shilling shows? Yeah, because I do a post show. Like I gotta be like, hey, this is the show I watched.
Do you know why? Because Johnny loves Taya. So that's why. But I'm delighted by this angle, but I think they need to reflect it. I think that they need to do better.
They do.
Christopher Marino saying I need Dalton hunting in the woods for the boys.
Now here's an idea.
We need, leading into Supercard, we don't have a ton of time, but we do need some vignettes of like missing persons reports and all sorts of stuff like that. Dalton trying to strong arm Lexi into some stuff. Like, I need to see that for sure. We get our next women's match. Not only is this a majorative women's heavy wrestling show, as we have 4 women's matches on this, but damn if they didn't all deliver. And Hikaru Shida versus Rachael Ellering was a sight to see, in my opinion. I loved this match. You've got Athena watching on at ringside. Really fun finish where we get a brain buster and Shida lands a katana kick and pins Rachael Ellering for the win. And we get Athena moving back up the ramp, looking a little bit intimidated. We're starting to see some cracks in the armor of our forever champ. We saw her get a little bit intimidated by Nyla. Shida, a completely different challenge, but with all this credibility behind her. I also loved in this when we had Rachael Ellering taking advantage of the distraction that Athena was there and just kneeing Shida in the spine so hard. She's really, really found her groove here in ROH. I felt like it took her a little bit to settle in, but she assimilated really, really nicely. This match was great. It advanced the world title picture, which makes me happy. I genuinely wonder if Shida is going to be the one to defeat Athena, because I feel like an ROH reign for Shida would be incredible. My only concern with that is Athena also might need like a month off or so. She's been working constantly, but things are really heated up on the AEW women's roster right now. I want Athena in that mix, but she cannot go up there with no plan. So if Shida wins, I need them to have something lined up for Athena. She won Women's Wrestler of the Year from the ROH spot. That is how damn good she is. So I'm very excited for this match. I think she probably retains. I don't think this is the payoff we get. I think it's going to be a hell of a match. Commentary once again pointing out that in Athena's kind of rookie season in AEW that Shida did have a win over her. So all aces from me, man. I really liked this. What did you think?
Yeah, this is another one of those, like, if you didn't know that Shida is the MVP of this whole company, here she is on display. There's been a lot of fanfare. They had the stare down a few weeks ago with her and Athena. The two of these wrestlers, Athena and Shida, have talked about wanting this match for a while now. Like pretty much every time they ask either one of them, like, hey, what's a match that's kind of like in your grasp that you would want to do? And they both say each other. So for us to be able to get this, I think it's pretty important, especially on Ring of Honor. Like, I know a lot of people had reservations, like they kind of put this match together quickly. Could have been other people in the division, but like historically, Supercard of Honor has been kind of one of those shows where it's like WrestleMania weekend, so it's like you get some other kind of flavors, not the usual Ring of Honor thing. You get some kind of super card of honor, like the name is real. And so I think Shida definitely represents that. If Shida, I've said this so many times on this podcast, it's crazy. If Shida is the one to defeat Athena, I'd be all in. I'd be very excited about it. It would make a lot of sense what she represents of the division. One of the best AEW women's champions of all time. The MVP, like I said, most of her matches, if not all, are like great matches, great displays. She knows how to work. She knows everything about this company. And shout out to Rachael Ellering too, playing a good, second to Shida and, making her look great out here. But this Supercard of Honor match, I'm very excited about it. Shida, Athena showing some cracks, like you said. There was a backstage segment later with Billie Starkz and Lexi. And Athena isn't the Athena that we've been seeing for the last couple months. She looks a little bit, I don't want to say worried because she'll come after me, but she looks like, I don't know, something's up there. But this match is going to be incredible. They're going to get time. The crowd's going to be insane because we're going to be in there. It's some exciting stuff developing. I like that they're making Shida a fixture, even if just for a few weeks or whatever this is. Like, she's the right move.
Yeah, I'm excited that they're paying this off. My only kind of thing about it is they're doing the exact same thing in the men's picture of like, we teased this months ago, we're heating it up for right now, but what things to heat up, right? I want to see both of those matches, so can't really have my cake and eat it too. But guys, get in those super chats as we're coming down the home stretch a little bit here, and please leave a thumbs up on this video. We've got the TNA post show coming up on the other side of this with a very tired but very happy Joel Burrow and Cresta Starr. Joel went to the AEW shows this week and got to see 2 title changes, obviously, with the main roster. We'll also remind you to subscribe to FightfulSelect.com, the best $5 in the business. You get so much. Not only do you get bi-weekly episodes of Ask Rhapsody with Reg and Phil, you also get all the scoops in the game, like Motor City Machine Guns contract being up. Could they be coming into AEW to challenge whoever wins?
I hope so.
Especially if it's the Young Bucks, that could be really fun. Yeah. That would be a blast. Get me and Alex Pulowski as well doing alternative post shows to what is on the main channel for pretty much any AEW or WWE pay-per-view except for NXT, because we do that on the main. So you get tons of added value behind there. I always put over Sean's Q&A because he gets a lot of answers for you guys and he works really hard to get them. And if he can't, he'll tell you he at least asked and couldn't get an answer. Very informative. A lot of kind of like hidden notes in a lot of those broadcasts. So please check those out. Tons and tons of value behind the paywall at FightfulSelect.com. So we move along to this quick backstage with Diamante, who grabs a mic from Lexi there and just accepts the challenge from earlier. Some good stuff here. She said, we're going to be first in line for that title no matter who wins. And I like that because they are focused on the title. What they're upset about is that Mercedes didn't win the title. Not that she just lost to Billie Starkz, which is an easy direction to go because Billie's so much younger, right? But I kind of dug that it's like, I don't care who wins, we're going after that thing. Is pretty great. And both of them can go after it, and both of them kind of have a right to do that. What do you think of our quick little backstage that we got there?
Yeah, I love that kind of the focus of Diamante and Kira's backstage were like, it felt like they both needed to get through each other to get to the championship. The focus was still like, I was in this television championship tournament and I want to get back to that championship right after that. Whoever wins, I want to beat them up. But first, I have to beat up this person. It just felt like they're like, we're doing with this with the purpose. Like, yeah, I want to beat up Diamante. Yeah, I want to beat up Kira, but I'm trying to get to that championship at the end.
Agreed. We got a really big question from Mark Losper saying, here's a really huge question, though. When is Reg doing a run in on Sour Graps? Now, I'm not going to put Reg on the spot, but Alex Pulowski is out next week. And I don't know if I know anybody more sour than Alex, but I think the runner-up would probably be Reg. So maybe we'll work on something there. Maybe we'll do a really weird, positive, bizarro episode. I don't know. But we will definitely have Sour Grapsity at some point for sure. Well, we move along to the most confusing match on the card, I guess, but not a bad one. Not a bad one at all. Matt Sydal versus TJ Crawford, who is excellent. He's someone I'm a little bit more familiar with. Definitely worth checking out if you're not as familiar with TJ Crawford's work. Really nice combination here of Matt Sydal's agility and TJ Crawford's strength. This wasn't a long match, but I think you got to see a lot out of it in the time that we got. But we got a big jumping knee from Sydal, who hits the Meteora from the top rope to go home on this. A couple spots that I liked in this was that Sydal went to the surfboard submission very early. I like when people are just like, I'm here to put you away. I'm not here to make the moment last. I'm here to get the W. Just appreciate that. And then I also liked when Sydal went for that brain buster, but you got Crawford kicking out it too. He had a really nice suplex in this. Good stuff from the limited time that we got here. Sydal getting a win makes me wonder if next week we're getting a 4-corner survival match and the winner of that goes on for the TV title or whatever. Those formulaic things that I'm a little less excited about, but this match was perfectly suitable. Sydal is always a great hand, and nice to see TJ Crawford getting a solid rep in. Any thoughts on this?
Yeah, not the nothing really wrong with this. Kind of in this, like I said, women's title, television title heavy show. Matt Sydal has been on Ring of Honor program before. He's a face that people know. He's always good for a good little match like this. And I thought TJ Crawford had a really strong showing. Matt Sydal is one of those Ring of Honor veterans that I think will always have a role like this, but they need to get him into something kind of specific, not just like this was good, nothing wrong with this, but this was just like, what's the match we could just have on the show? Oh, Matt Sydal's here. Let's kind of put him over. I'm not mad at it. I thought it was fun, but like, let's get something specific for Matt Sydal. Let's get him in one of these championship divisions that aren't happening or are non-existent. But yeah, that's what it kind of feels like. They've been building up wins for other people so they can have a championship number one contenders match or something. We've seen a bunch of four corner survivals coming into this, so I could see that happen. But I'd really rather just see Ethan Page and Lee Johnson go one-on-one for the number one contendership for Kyle Fletcher, but we'll see.
Agreed with you wholeheartedly at everything you said. It's also a little annoying when it's like, okay, we get Sydal and Daniels on Rampage, and then we get Sydal and singles action here. It's like, we know what's going on. You always got to have pin eaters and people that are serviceable enough, but I just prefer they work in one division. That's just a me thing. But we move along to this really great Eddie Kingston promo. It is not a secret that I love this man so much. But this is why we're in the locker room. An emotional Eddie Kingston, who just lost his Continental title, says that he got a call from former ROH champion and unapologetically his friend Homicide. And he basically says that Homicide told him he hasn't been himself. The old Eddie would have gone to all of these maybe less honorable resorts to beat Okada. He would have been gouging people's eyes out, things like that. And old Eddie needs to kind of resurface against Mark Briscoe if he's going to beat him. And like, he always just sneaks in these little lines of like, I don't really care about my life, but I care about yours even less, pretty much is what he says here. And I'm just like, God, it's like always casually life or death with Eddie Kingston. So accessible, so real. I figured once Eddie lost this title, he's probably going to keep losing. And I'm assuming the downfall is going to lead to a nice tweener into a heel turn for him. But we are getting Mark Briscoe versus Eddie Kingston. And he says that Briscoe better bring it because he won't be held responsible for what he does to him. I'm a huge fan of the guy. He's one of, if not my complete favorite talkers in the game. He made me care about Jeff Jarrett, which has literally never happened before. Like, that's how good this guy is, right? So I loved this promo. I'm looking forward to him and Mark. I think this promo did a good job of adding an extra layer of investment into that, because conversely, I feel like Mark Briscoe is one of the easiest people in the world to root for. This singles run has really shown me how much he can combine his style with somehow constantly being like this underdog babyface, and those things are usually at dissonance with each other. So I'm very much looking forward to that match. What did this Eddie Kingston promo do for you? Are you on the same as me where Eddie's just the GOAT?
Yeah, I'm nice Eddie's cool. I've been happy him like high-fiving fans, doing interviews in his Tim boots at news stations and stuff. But the reason that I'm a big, huge Eddie Kingston fan, the reason that I'm here is that Eddie Kingston that didn't give a shit, Kate. That Eddie Kingston that was angry, that Eddie Kingston that's spinning back fist you and then probably spit on you, then lead to a DMX song. Like, I'm ready for that guy to come back. I think in character, he's been being too nice. Like, the character of Eddie Kingston historically has shown us that he don't care about anything. He don't care about friends. He don't care about nothing. He cares about being the best. And I think recently he's like, his character has started to care and it started to show these different emotions and started to establish these things, which is great. He has a lot of fans behind him. But like Homicide said, why are you acting like a little bitch, Eddie Kingston? You better get back to it. You're Eddie Kingston, dude. Your mentor will rip somebody's eye out. You're talking to Homicide. He's not here for you to be nice. He didn't teach you to get respect and have nice and shake hands. He taught you to rip people's heads off. And I'm glad that Eddie Kingston is back to that. There's people that are not going to root against Eddie Kingston at this point. Kate, they feel like you do. They feel like I do. They were like, we love this guy. But if you can try to, if you want to attempt to, I think Mark Briscoe is probably like the best opponent to have. he could garner sympathy from anybody. And the story and the history of Mark Briscoe, you start telling that, you get Eddie Kingston acting like an asshole. It's a pretty good combination of things. So I'm excited about this match. Eddie Kingston, this it's kind of a tale as old as time. This guy, he's on a streak. He has all these championships. He has all these wins. Then he starts to slowly lose them, starts to slowly lose grip of who he was, who he is. And he has to go back to his old ways. If that's the story we're telling here, I'm all in.
You're right. I don't think that Homicide gives a shit about Bryan Danielson's respect.
No.
Right? Like, I love that the downfall of Eddie Kingston will be a return to where he was at stylistically and just this mental shift. Like, those are always such natural heel turns, and nobody is more natural than Eddie Kingston. Yep. I am one of those people that will root for Eddie Kingston till the end of the earth. And the reason I know that is because he tried to light a man on fire, and I fell in love with him. So, if
you cheered him harder when he tried to set somebody on fire.
Like, my heart went aflutter. Like, I fell in love with him. So if you're setting a man on fire and threatening to set Bryan Danielson on fire, who is someone that I love and respect more than most people in this industry, and I'm still in love with you, it's hopeless. It's hopeless for me. I admit it. I accept what I am, and I'm an Eddie Kingston simp. That's just who I am. It feels good to own it in this moment.
Does.
So we are headed into our main event, guys. Any last call for super chats, like Shame Monster, who chimes in and says, Honor Club Venus in full effect. Mina, since coming back from that gnarly mouth injury last year, has been amazing. She's Stardom's big crossover star. Now, let's talk about this, because there were plenty of people, myself included, who said, when we had Forbidden Door, where is the Stardom crossover talent? Like, and the excuse at that point was, well, we're running pay-per-views the same day. Certainly seems, based on some gifts that Tony Khan sent out and some rumors out there, that there was not a good working relationship between Rossi and Tony Khan. I don't know if that was an attempts that were not meant to book talent, but Rossi is now creating his own promotion. And the second that happens, all of a sudden we're getting a Stardom crossover here, right? So it seems like there was some very specific contentious relationship that prevented that from happening. That's become extremely transparent now. To whatever side you choose, weird tribalists, God bless you. I'm just excited that the Forbidden Door has now expanded into Stardom World, because we do get this incredible match between Mina and Anna. And I feel like this is the best that Anna has looked in a while too. I really liked the rep that she got here. Anna Jay is someone I've noticed in particular, when she gets consistent reps, she's a lot better than when she's just kind of booked every 6 weeks or whatever. Like, reps are something that's important to her. She's still pretty young at this. Like, she's been there since the start of AEW, but like, she's young in her career still. And it's nice to see a match like this pop off screen. Both of them with so much charisma. We get the tribute dance from Mina here on the entrance. Crowd is hyped for this. How can't you be when you see these two in action? But we get a drop kick from the top rope, which stuns Anna Jay and sets up the finisher here. Anna Jay taking advantage of the showbutting from Mina, which was really fun. And she locks in a sleeper that looked great. But playing possum, we get Mina dragging Anna Jay to the ground and quickly flipping her for a pin. I love how much we got that made Anna Jay look so strong in this, where Mina already looked great. Like, we already knew what she was capable of. I don't even follow Stardom that much, and I know that she's like one of the bigger talents that is there. Yep. This was a really, really fun main event. I'm glad that they made it feel like a main event. I'm glad that women's wrestling is thriving in ROH. And I'm glad for Anna Jay, because she looked really, really strong in this. And I figured this was going to be a lot more one-sided than it was. But the way that this match was agented really gave both of them a lot to dig into. Loved this. Loved this being in the main event. Love this feeling important. Love another interpromotional door being opened. We see you, Rocky Romero. You're doing the Lord's work. You are out there creating relationships all over the place, and then having bangers with Takeshita on Rampage. That dude, one of the most valuable people in wrestling. But really fun main event here. Red, your thoughts on what we got?
Yeah, I think that a couple of things that you described about Anna Jay here, like you said, she's been here from the beginning. There's a couple of women in Anna Jay's type position, like Penelope, Anna Jay, some wrestlers back there that would benefit greatly from doing an excursion and going overseas to Japan to a place like Stardom and just having a couple months where they just lock into that schedule, lock into that type of run where those Japanese women will run you to the ground, but when you come out on the other side, you're an incredible women's wrestler. I think Anna Jay has improved tremendously every time that we see her. She's getting better. I know that she's like constantly working at this, and I thought the match today kind of showed that. This is a perfect kind of display of like, we're about to showcase Mina, but we need somebody on our roster that could keep up, and I thought that Anna really kept up. Mina looked awesome though. She came out, her entrance, she danced,
So much fun.
she had the full gear. She
Gorgeous.
looked like a superstar. There's a certain time where people come and you're like, okay, like a video package or something, tell us who this person is. But would you see him and you're like, oh, that looks like a superstar. I want to know more.
Oh no.
I'm bringing it to the show, Kate. Don't you
I liked
worry.
it better when you weren't here. How dare you? That's
But there's some people where you just see them and they're like, it doesn't matter. They look awesome. And I thought that her entrance and display of that was great. But then she got in the ring and like, oh, this is why she's considered one of Stardom's best. This is why she considered one of the best Japanese women's wrestler, just because everything she does looks awesome. Her strikes look awesome. Her distance and spacing, the way that her facials, the way that she works, her finish, everything about it was just like, oh, this is a big time Japanese women's wrestler. But more than that, we hope that this means more for the partnership. We hope that Forbidden Door 3 features some of these Japanese Stardom wrestler, because that's the only thing that's really been missing from Forbidden Door is that Japanese women's representation, and it feels like we've been getting this. I didn't get to talk about Red Velvet and Queen Aminata. Red Velvet showed me that I want her to be one of the first opponents of, we haven't talked about on this podcast because I've been out for a few weeks, Mercedes Moné. Yes. The way that Red Velvet was working today, I was like, big oh my God, the match with Mercedes is going to be insane. They both have this kind of like we talked about it a little bit, Red Velvet. She's kind of toned it down, but this like balls to the wall, but still like the way that she like her body movements and the way that she's in the ring and her spacing and timing, very similar to Mercedes. And I think that if these two women are given a time and a big match and some things, that's going to be insane. But Mercedes bringing all this fanfare and this representation, because essentially Stardom and New Japan were like, we'll be friends with you, AEW, because we want to be in the Mercedes business. Like anything we have to do to be friends with somebody that's friends with Mercedes, we'll do it. And I think that's really exciting for the women's division.
You know, you raise a good point with Forbidden Door and Mercedes pushing this global revolution so much, right? That's been from the two things that we've seen from Mercedes, a huge emphasis on that. And I think that's awesome. I would love to see some of the CMLL talent in there as well. Yes. Huge Stephanie Vacura fan, huge Johnny Robbie fan, big time. I can't wait till she's back from injury. It's going to make my heart sing. What an ass kicker. So I would love to see all of that get mixed in. Mercedes versus Stephanie Vacura is how I found out about Steph. And that was my favorite match of that tournament up until the Willow and Mercedes match, which of course ended in the injury. So very much looking forward to the possibilities. The idea of the Red Velvet match, something I would have been excited about before this episode of ROH, but seeing the counter wrestling that we got with Velvet today,
the counters,
even more so, because I think Mercedes, she's so cerebral in her approach. And a lot of times one of her biggest strengths, in my opinion, is how she approaches opponents that are bigger than her with like the sneaky knees to the back and all of those things. Mercedes picking on someone her own size and kind of in her own world stylistically, I think would be a blast and not an opportunity that she gets a lot. So
exactly.
That could be really, really cool. That could be really, really cool. Well, we've got a couple minutes before the TNA crew comes on, and I don't have my Mad Libs out, but there's still plenty to talk about. If you guys want to get in any chats to round us out, feel free to. Otherwise, Reg and I are just going to BS on air for a little bit, but there's a ton to talk about. We can flip it over to the AEW side a little bit, since that is the parent brand of ROH. We see this tag tournament going on. We're seeing that the Workhorsemen were supposed to be in it. Unfortunately, Anthony Henry with the broken jaw from the great match with Brian Keith. Just a fortunate accident that happened there. But our friends in the infantry, who we love so much, getting some main roster shine. The huge upset on Collision. Trish Adora kind of playing this cohesive, I was going to say counter story, but they really work in the same world in her match against Julia, where she said, if I win, goofballs are banned from ringside on
Mm-hmm.
on the House of Black side of things. I'm very excited for the infantry. I was not a fan at all of the way that match was booked. I think, yeah, I felt like, not to be too negative, but I felt like everybody came out the weaker for it. It felt very much not like who Mark Briscoe is.
Mm-hmm.
I think it made the infantry look bad, and it made Buddy Matthews look kind of dumb, quite frankly.
I don't like that spot, the Mark Briscoe spot in general. Any time where the guy runs in, he's feuding with somebody, then he runs in, and
especially in a tournament.
Yeah,
especially in a tournament. However, I love tournament upsets. Nobody deserves it more than the infantry.
Yes.
The promo that they gave after of like, we come from the military to W's W, and it might be ugly, but we're going to take it, I thought was really good stuff. Now they have FTR next week. I have no idea why the Blackpool Combat Club is not in this tournament after getting this huge win over FTR. It is very, very, very odd to me. I know because of FightfulSelect.com what Jon Moxley is up to, but it kind of leaves the door open for an upset with FTR. Like if the infantry wins and FTR is like, man, we've had 2 monster losses in a row, that could send them on a fun trajectory. I love them. I prefer them working heel. I think just because Dax is so old school that I love his mentality around being a heel.
Mm-hmm.
Bullet Club is kind of, not Bullet Club. This is the second time I did that. Blackpool Combat Club is kind of leaning toward face right now. They're so versatile. They flip back and forth all the time. But if Mox is going to be out working CMLL and New Japan and all these things, I feel like a heel FTR might be kind of fun. Maybe they don't want that with the Bucks, but there's such different types of heels that I think that could be a fun way to go. But do you think that the infantry is going to go further in this tournament than maybe everybody was expecting?
Heel. The FTR going heel against the Young Bucks thing sent my brain into a spiral. I'm like, yeah, that's probably not gonna work. Yeah, I'm super interested to see what they kind of do with this match, because like you said, it does set up an upset scenario. I think coming into this, especially after that match, people are like, oh, these are underdogs, it's the infantry. I hope they don't go with that same kind of format in the FTR match. I hope they figure out a better way to execute if they do it, but it is exciting to see the infantry in this position. I love the everything that they've been given kind of since being moved up to Collision, kind of like an extra effort of like, these guys are on Ring of Honor, now they're up here, now they're in the tournament, they're gonna be, you know, a good addition for this. I think it's really cool for them. What did you think? We're on the Ring of Honor show. The Ring of Honor tag team champions are in this ring AEW tag team championship tournament. I'm still like, what?
Anywhere but on the program.
Anywhere but
on the freaking program.
Exactly.
And the whole reason we wanted the Kingdom to win was because they were working ROH and putting the effort on this brand. They finally win. And it is. It's a rib on Reg. It really is. So I'm with you on that. Like it's very frustrating to me to see moves like that. And it also feels like we've made so much progress and then we have things like that. You know, it becomes frustrating after a while to have that. Oh man, exactly. I thought I had your funny guy Tony Khan clip in here, but I guess it got deleted.
It's been a while.
That's upsetting. I'm gonna need to bring that back. But one person that we're gonna bring back right now is Joel Pearl. Hi, Joel. Joel is muted.
Can't hear you.
Joel is muted. He's looking fresh with his haircut. Hey, you're there, but you're very faint and choppy.
You're there.
Oh, I'm here. How about now?
Yeah,
there he is. I didn't even see Reg's Righteous Reg Media Man sign behind him.
It's back there. That's me.
Always there.
Respect.
It's always there. I'm always there.
I love it. Joel, how are you?
Well, you know, I just watched TNA, so there's that.
That did happen. That is a thing. That is a thing that happened.
It looked like there was some good stuff on there. My homeboy, I need more for him. Jake something's going to challenge Mustafa Ali for the X Division Championship. Very excited about that.
That was probably the match of the night, and then the rest of the show happened.
Joel, we got a lot to talk about. We got to have a full podcast, honestly, on what's going on over there.
We do. We're gonna talk a lot about
it.
We've got Motor City Machine Guns leaving, but you have GYV around, which is great. I love those guys.
Losing Motor City Machine Guns, both of those super important to this brand wrestlers, is like, yo.
By the way,
That's
for
a
those
rough
who are
one.
wondering, where they're booked the night after TNA Rebellion, London, Ontario for Smash Wrestling. So they're going to be in my backyard.
You should go shake them down.
I
Ask them
should.
what's going on. Yeah.
I mean,
Totally.
Shelly works one of the Lucha shows nearby every month, it seems, in Toronto. So I should go ask him what's going on. Not gonna-
Also good to know because that's another person that we could have just punch you in the face. But Joel, since we are the ROH show and you
I've watched all of the ROH that you
watched all of
talking
the
about.
ROH that we're talking about. You also
did.
went to a hell of a Dynamite and a Collision taping. So I know you popped on the main channel to talk about your experience yesterday. Was that just yesterday?
It was yesterday.
What is time?
Yeah, that was just yesterday.
5 minutes. We didn't do
You must be exhausted, but
You did
how
that is.
how was AEW? And the only thing when you get a really hot AEW episode where there's an ROH taping is everybody's exhausted by the time you get to the ROH taping, like 2 title changes and then here's some more matches, doesn't really click in. But how did you have a good time? I know you had quite the exhausting journey to it, but was it worth it?
So they didn't tape Ring of Honor afterwards this time since they
Just
did
before.
3 hours, right? So because they did Dynamite, and this is the best part. So I'm sitting with some people who are with AEW, and I said, "Do you guys usually know for sure if you're doing ROH afterwards?" And they were like, "Yeah, most of the time, but like we've had it sprung on us before." So I'm sitting there, and they're like, "Ladies and gentlemen, Tony Khan is back." And he comes out, and I'm like, "Oh my god, he's about to say more Ring of Honor." And everyone around me is like, "No, no." They didn't do that. They did about an hour of Ring of Honor tapings beforehand, and that was fine. They did the bulk of the tapings at Collision in Ottawa, where I also went.
That makes sense.
So yeah, they did 2 matches before. That was the 2 semifinal matches for the women's TV title. They taped those before Collision went live, and then they did a full hour of taping afterwards. So I don't know all the matches you got to see, so I don't want to spoil anything. But there was a lot out there.
Yeah, you definitely had more matches than we watched tonight because we only had an hour 9, I think, an hour 19 maybe.
Yeah, I think it was an hour 9.
Did Uno have a match tonight?
No.
Okay, so you'll see that next couple of weeks then.
But you saw him at Mystery Wrestling, so keep an eye out for that interview. But we're going to bring on the wonderful Cresta as well, who is mid-bite. That was dirty of me. I did not mean to do that. I did not mean to bring you on mid-bite. I'm not like a waiter at a restaurant who tries to be like, how was your food when you're in mid-bite? I'm sorry.
Unbelievable. Cresta, you going to be at WrestleMania weekend?
I am. I do not have tickets. I will be fighting people in the parking lot for their tickets. So if you see me, as the proverbial kids say, run the set. So
got you.
That's what's up.
And if you lose, give me your ticket.
I don't want to fight you. I just want to like hug. And,
I was more.
there.
I didn't realize. Look though. What I love about Cresta, she booked a match with stakes. She said, "I'm taking your WrestleMania tickets. They're on the line. I'm fighting in the parking lot brawl for the tickets." I like that. I respect that about you.
I mean, honestly, if you don't got a match at WrestleMania, why are you going out? I got a match.
Cresta's got a match. We're gonna get on the pre-show. It's gonna happen, but. Reg and I'll sneak out of here. We'll let you get to your TNA show as much as I would love to prolong Joel being awake for as long as possible.
Oh, it's a 2-way street. Me and Joel are so tired. We're high-fiving and sleeping.
We are the old crew, is what we are.
Listen, part of what I love about Ring of Honor is I'm done by 10 o'clock. We're usually starting post shows then, so we're out of here. We're gonna babyface this shit. We're gonna let you guys get to work and get out of here early.
Peace, y'all.
But we'll see
you guys.
Cresta Starr, how are you?
What's up? I am here. I may be tired. The spirits may be low, but the energy is high. So here I am.
We said the exact same shit last week.
Listen, I mean, to be fair, I love wrestling, but I have a muggle job where I work a lot of the week. So by the time it is Thursday, yesterday is my Friday at my job. So today I'm like, yeah, I want to sleep, but also I got to do my makeup. And also I do other Cresta Starr stuff. And also I'm tired. And also I got to get up early tomorrow. And also I'm tired. It just gets more depressing if you say it out loud.
Seriously. You're doing it. You're doing all the things, but you're also running all around. I know the feels.
It's all good. You do what you got to do until you don't have to do it anymore.
Yes. And then when you do it some more, you get through it again. Shall we?
I am ready. I will say before we switch over, I have taken the John Cena quote to heart when John Cena was talking to Triple H and Shawn Michaels, and he's like, man, you guys get to have all the fun. It's like, yeah, you're doing the important stuff now, and in a couple of years, you'll get to have fun. And that's where I'm at. I got to do the importance. I'm John Cena. That's in my mind. I'm John Cena.
Make it a quote. Hello, friends. We're back again. It's Fightful.com. I am Joel Pearl, and it's March 21st, 2024, and it's time for your TNA Impact post show. Of course, with me forever, though you can't see her, she's here. Cresta Starr, how are you?
I'm John Cena. Who is this Cresta Starr? Cresta Starr Cena. Cresta Marquez Cena Star.
John Starr, Cresta Cena.
It's the invisible tag team. No one will ever see it coming, quite literally. Thank you. That's my time. How are you, Joel?
I'm here. I'm present. I am getting through it. I've had a very busy few weeks, but here we are. We're talking TNA wrestling as we do every single week, Thursday nights here on Fightful.com. And of course, you can leave us a thumbs up on the video if you haven't already. What's wrong with you? Why aren't you doing it? Go do it now. And of course, subscribe to us here on the channel, youtube.com/Fightful. And while you're at it, donate a super chat. Any amount, get your question statement read on the air. And on top of that, you can donate a Humper Chat. HumperChats.com is where you do it. Cresta Starr is going to explain to you how you do it and why.
So you take your fingers or your thumbs if you're on your smartphone, or your tablet if you got big hands and you're Shaquille O'Neal. You're going to go to HumperChats.com. We get to keep a little bit more of that donation piece, and you get to put your comment like, hey, Joel, what did you think of the PCO match? Joel and I will have a yuck or a very thoughtful, insightful moment. We're happy. The lights get kept on. Sean Ross Sapp is happy. HumperChats.com.
Bing. We're back.
Bong.
And of course, FightfulSelect.com. We'll talk about that a little bit later. There's plenty to talk about TNA Impact. This episode, Cresta, it wasn't my favorite. It was fine. It's one of those middle of the roads because we are middle of the road en route to Rebellion. Rebellion is a month away from yesterday. Rebellion's on 420. We know a few matches. We've added one more, but this show just existed. What did you think of overall tonight's TNA Impact?
I mean, it makes sense. Sorry, the gas in my stomach tried to betray me. It tried to betray me. I didn't want you to get it on audio. No, I was thinking like it does make sense because we just had 2 pay-per-views or live events back to back. So this being so far out, okay. Last week we had a promo heavy show. Tonight was kind of like a promo heavy getting back into the swing of things. I also realized I will be out in Dynasty during this show.
That's fine. Steven Jensen and I will do it.
I mean, I'll bring my laptop. I'll do a run in. Oh God, it's Cresta Starr.
Well, no, Dynasty is the 21st.
But I'm going to be out there already.
Were you going to go to Collision in Peoria, Illinois?
No, but like, I'm not flying out to St. Louis for one day. Like, that's madness.
Well, maybe you should be doing your job better, Cresta Starr.
You know what? Sean Ross Sapp doesn't complain.
Sean Ross Sapp does his job.
So he's not complaining about mine. Next question. No further questions from you. You're the biggest heel in the business, okay? I'm not taking this crap.
Well, there you go. TNA Rebellion. It'll be myself and Steven Jensen that night. Cresta Starr will be on location at an AEW pay-per-view because she's the Collider, so she has to do that. I didn't show up on your Collision post show because Ring of Honor decided that they wanted to tape 20 hours of footage that night, so I couldn't say hi. I'm sorry.
It's okay. We love you and we respect you, and you tried. You may be the biggest heel in the business, but also the biggest heart.
That's true. You know who else has a big heart? Jake Something, the new #1 contender for the X Division Championship. He won the Rebellion Referendum. It was a 6-pack challenge. Jake Something defeats Leon Slater, making his North American TNA debut, Chris Bay, Alan Angels, Jason Hodge, and Kevin Knight. This match was a lot of fun. I love Ali on commentary. I love that he gets to come out here and says, whoa, Jake, something's too big. There has to be some sort of limit here. And then that gives the commentary team an excuse to say, no, Ali, don't you know the X division isn't about weight limits, it's about no limits. And Ali replies, you can't have a world without limits. And I'm just dying. I thought that was a really funny and silly exchange. This match was fine. This match was a really good 6-pack challenge. It was a sprint to the finish. Something gets the win. Mustafa Ali is not happy, but that's the match for Rebellion. Something in Ali. What do you think of the Rebellion referendum?
Honestly, I do thoroughly enjoy this character that Ali has right now. And to think they wouldn't let him do this elsewhere, clowns, if you ask me. Anyway, this is so funny how no matter what happened in the ring, he was all like, yes, that's cool and all, but who put this together? Ali, right? Yeah, me. Love me. Look at me I hear what you're saying, but take a second to admire me. I'm like, bro, this is the best worst, okay? This is the worst best. Like, I live for it. And him being thoroughly upset at Jake something, who, by the way, needed 3 men to finally get him down. And one guy was on his shoulder back for like the majority of the tag team. Disgusting. I want Jake something to win. I think he's going to get cheated out of his boots. But that's okay. I think it's fine because Ali is given I'm a big old cheater. And what presidential candidate isn't a slimy cheater? Sorry.
No, man, all politicians suck. That's really the gist of Mustafa Ali's character.
I honestly live. At this point, all he's missing is and I need $50 million for a railroad.
Give that man a mustache immediately.
Please, no. Wait. I don't know. I'd have to see it.
We'll see how it looks. Leon Slater, like I said, making his TNA North American debut, look great. I look forward to seeing more Leon Slater. I know a few weeks ago someone was asking on this show, hey, where's Leon Slater? And I was like, keep an eye open. He'll be there soon. And he was in Windsor. He did the show. I don't know for sure if he's working the Philly tapings that are this weekend, maybe next weekend. My brain is frazzled, so you're all going to have to just deal with that. Either way, launches himself over the top rope ring post, does Leon Slater right onto Chris Bay and Alan Angels. But really, it's Jake something with a sprint to the finish, hitting Jason Hotchwood into the void, gets that win. And it's looking forward to Jake something at this point. It's his time. This is a standout opportunity for something who had hard to kill the last time TNA was in Vegas, was just, in a random 6-man where he got to team with Rhino and Tommy Dreamer, was it?
Oh no, girl. I watched that match right along with you and I couldn't tell you.
It wasn't Dreamer. It was PCO. It's PCO because Tommy Dreamer was having the Digital Media Championship match against Crazy Steve.
Okay, I have 2 questions for you. One, I think you have a beef with Windsor, Ontario, and tonight they said that this is Detroit's dumber cousin, and I wanted to know if you agreed with that.
Yeah, no, it's factual.
All right.
Yeah.
2, how likely do you think it is, because of the way Ali was complaining tonight, and maybe this is me just booking myself into an oblivion, with how much Ali was complaining tonight, do you see him saying, now I'm going to option C it. I'm not fighting nobody's Jake something. You got me clipped.
Come again.
Sorry. Ali saying, hey, I'm going to go find my smile. I'm not going to go fight Jake something. So I'm going to option C and y'all can have a tournament for this.
No, I think he'll do the match and he'll either win, slide out, beat something, and then cash it in later that night as option C, or lose and then go after whoever wins the TNA World Championship that night.
I just think it's too soon for him to lose. I really do like this character. And to me, him sliding or being a greaseball out of it is kind of like, oh, you piece of crap. I respect it.
That's kind of what I want, is for him to win the X Division, like to retain the title. And then later on in the night, Nic Nemeth wins the big one, beats the system, comes out, cashes in option C, gets that slimy victory. And then the X Division Championship is, to be decided at maybe at Slammiversary, but you've got 3 months at that point to tell that story.
If I'm Jake something and that happens after I lose to Ali and then you cash it in, I'm going to be mad and I'm going to make it my mission to make your life a living hell.
That's fair. Speaking of life that's a living hell, Dirty Dango's in there. He's got a gazebo that he wants people to sit in, but there's cat poop everywhere.
I thought you say cat food, but
I
now
thought
that
it was cat food too, and then it sounded like cat poop.
I think you are probably a lot more right than I.
We're going to have a little experiment. Dango said that the largest check he ever received in wrestling is when he used it to buy a Range Rover. Okay? What check do you think that was? Do you have I think I know which match and which check that would have been.
I'm going to be real with you. While I am not sure, because I started watching in 2018, specifically Money in the Bank for real, I feel like this was a Fashion Police situation and a WrestleMania situation. I have to sneeze, so I'm going to mute.
WrestleMania 33, his debut against Chris Jericho. And I will ask him if I ever come across Dirty Dango, which check is the Range Rover check. And I think it's 33 because he was built for a big one. I think it's the Jericho match.
So if I see him at Mania, I'm stealing your question. I'm just going to hit him with the George. I'm stealing George I. Smith's gimmick. I'm stealing everyone's going to like, hey, a Cresta Starr here for Fightful. Just want to know what check exactly it was that you was able to buy this Range Rover. We're going to take this question right now. Thank you very much.
Dango is not going to be at WrestleMania weekend for that.
You know, I had to try and...
Besides, hold on, we're dirt sheets. And he says the dirt sheets won't talk to him, so he doesn't know what his match ratings are. So clearly living up to the hype. And
listen, I'm trying to go to his wrestling school. So I am a dirt sheet. In fact, I'm so dirty. I want to make a Peanuts joke, but I don't know if y'all know who Pigpen is, and I feel like it's gonna make me sound really old.
Oh no, that's great. I love it when you use Peanuts references. Did you know that Snoopy will become part of the public domain in like 2052?
I did not. Today I learned. I've been learning a lot today.
Yeah, the 100-year rule. And then that sent me down a weird rabbit hole. Anyway, I love that they were doing the typewriter shtick, right? So they do the typewriter shtick where they ask the question. And then the one that pops up is, you seem exceptionally upset about your recent failures. And I'm like, wow, that is the most...
That's pointed.
Yeah, that's wild. Anyway, Dango's like, no, you don't understand. My shoelaces were untied. That's why Josh Alexander beat me. And then, like you said, he called Windsor Detroit's stupid cousin, factual. And then he says, Dango, I get up and I excel and I do all these things every single day, but nobody cares because I'm not having 5-star matches. And then he calls out Oleg Prudius, and Oleg Prudius walks out on Dirty Dango. So that's a thing that we're about to see. When weeks ago, Cresta Starr, we were talking about Oleg Prudius and Dirty Dango tag teaming to the point where they could be champions. What happened?
Oh, how booking is fleeting. I tell you who did sit down, Alpha Bravo.
Of course. Man knows where his toast is buttered.
Exactly.
On the floor with the cat poop.
I mean, I'm going to try to make a Canadian and relate. He knows where his poutine is gravied. So
where I was last weekend, that's where more poutine was.
Hey, I don't know what that means. Hey, cheese curds.
I was in backwoods Quebec. It was very strange. Shout out to Eva Luna. Mystery wrestling was a lot of fun.
It looked fun. I'm sorry. I saw your picture on Twitter. It looked so much fun. I'm jealous.
It's great. It's legitimately a bingo hall that they run in.
Bingo.
Yeah, bingo. Yeah, you never know who's going to walk through mystery wrestling doors, but it's good. And then all of a sudden, you never know who's going to walk out when Cody Deaner is like, hey, I'm a big old failure. I haven't been myself because I'm just a big old failure. And then he's like, I'm going to blame myself for that. And this, Cresta, is the beginning of motivational speaker yes man Cody Deaner. Every choice Deaner makes is now the people's choice. People, if you are listening, I need a favor. Do the most asinine thing you can think of. Anytime Cody Deaner leads the crowd, just do it. Do it and one-up it. If he tells you I'm going to go left, say go left and then take another left just because. Really make Deaner work for it.
I feel like now, again, call me a jabroni if you will, but I feel like, didn't some wrestling promotion try to do this on like Sundays or Tuesdays where people would vote on the internet for what they like these wrestlers type of matches they should have, and they did, and it was cool for a hot second until it got real weird real fast?
I mean, everything gets real weird real fast in wrestling.
That's fair. That is a fair answer. I don't know why I was not expecting that answer, but that is a fair one. Yeah, I mean, we've had a people's champ. It's cool and all, but what you gonna do? I mean, like, as a wrestling fan myself, I often call myself on either this show or the Post Collision show with Riddy and Rick. Gotta give myself a cheap plug.
They good.
A dirty flip flop, like the flip flop you wear in the street to the beach. One moment I hate you, next moment you're the greatest wrestler on the planet. If you've been watching us since the beginning, my opinion on Eddie Edwards, especially in this iteration, has changed completely. Sometimes it takes us a while for you to get it. That being said, don't let these wrestling fans tell you what to do. I seen Keith Lee slap a man's nipple off. You know, I wouldn't do it. I respect it, but these wrestling fans is weird.
I would not only do it, I'd encourage it. Nothing bad can happen if wrestling fans get to decide what you do next. Hell, they made the great choice when GYV comes out and they're like, nah, you don't get to do this. And then, of course, Dina's like, should I leave the ring? And everyone's like, no, you just stay. You get your ass beat. Fans don't care about Dina. And then this is going to just cause Dina to go crazy again. I'm all for it. But I do enjoy, for those who don't know, Diener is legitimately a motivational speaker in his off time. He speaks to school. Yes, he speaks to school age kids. He does legitimately do that. And if he's going to use some of that to put it into his act, I'm not against it. It could be a little over the top and maybe even a little hokey, but at least it's something familiar. And on top of that, he's got a great podcast. So it's a win-win, right?
I agree. No, I think the whole motivational speaker, it does lean into the character that is Cody Diener. So let's take it for like the past couple of months. No, past 3 years. One moment you were out drinking beer with cousin Jake. Cousin Jake disappears. You get kidnapped by Eric Young. You're brainwashed, eaten a pin. You kill Eric Young. You're now the leader of the design. The design fails. And now you're like, well, I'm finally free of whatever Stockholm syndrome that was bothering me. I can talk about it. And it was because I was too much in control of my own way. It's a compelling story in theory. I think it's one of those high concept gimmicks that you really have to think about. And I think if he executes it, which I absolutely believe he can, maybe I'm thinking too much into it, but I think it's something that's doable. It's believable, because who better than to tell you about motivation and seeing yourself through than somebody who literally got kidnapped and then killed their kidnapper. And then that kidnapper came back to life and beat him up.
That's a mouthful. Anyway, this all turns into grizzled young veterans versus time splitters. I like Tom Hannafin mentioning that GYV versus time splitters was a match in NXT 4 years ago. So nice little callback there. Match is good. The problem is there's no reason for this to exist right now, because we know what the tag title match is for Rebellion, and GYV versus time split. GYV versus Motor City Machine Guns? Sure. GYV would get the win because Motor City Machine Guns are not going to be at the next tapings. It's very strange. I don't know what they're going to do with it. Regardless, I like that they're cutting off the ring, are the time splitters. They're doing that really well with James Drake. Kushida gets the hoverboard later on, gets the win, and then Shelly and Kushida hug it out. And everything we talked about for the last few weeks, once again, Cresta Starr, null and void.
You know, I don't think that, because they did mention in the beginning how Shelly was disinterested in tagging in Kushida. He was kind of beginning like, and the commentary was like, well, they're on the same page. Oh, maybe I spoke too soon. I think Shelly's playing the long game. We don't like GYV right now.
They hugged it out. They hugged it out and looked at each other longingly. They're pally pals again.
Every time someone says something about that in wrestling, all I can think of is, I love you. I'm sorry. super kick. No.
What are you talking about? That has absolutely nothing to do with this.
They could hug. I'm saying they could hug, but that means nothing. This is professional wrestling, bro. I'm hugging you because we got to get this over with and done with. And the moment you piss me off one more again, Shida, especially you who threw in the towel, I'm kick right to the nugget.
I think they're friends again, and I think they realize their contracts are up.
I mean, I would like, let me live in my Delulu. Delulu is the Salulu. I would like to believe that there's a heel Shelly, there's a heel Machine Guns, and maybe you get Kushida and Kevin Knight versus Motor City Machine Guns, because that match would slap, and it wouldn't have to be for the titles, and you give the tag team something to do.
Fair. We got super chats, of course, so you can donate any amount, get your question or statement right on the air. Jana says they need to do something about the reflection from the tunnel lights because the streaks were distracting me. Their production needs improvement. Well, they had their production improvements. It was mostly software. The new set is very simple, and I think there's a reason for that. It's cost effective. It's giant video board and the same, octagonal or hexagonal entrance that it's a play on what they used to do in the Impact Zone. I think it's fine. I do agree that they can tighten up certain shots. It's not as distracting to me. I don't know. How about you, Cresta?
I'm very sports entertained. I don't unfortunately notice stuff like that unless it's like really, really bad. But at this point, I've been watching TNA long enough to feel like that is a feature, not a bug, not a defect. Like TNA will give you 99%, but there's always that 1%, whether it's their fault or not. And tonight they had 98%. Maybe it was that production that I missed it, but there's always that one fan who's like, I'm part of this show. And shout out to that kid because I wish I was you because you was in it. You was in it tonight. I wish I was you.
We're backstage. Tom Hannafin with Alexander Hammerstone. Hammerstone said he had his TNA tryout, his debut on Explosion in 2018, and then he decided to go make a name for himself all across the world, became a big fish in a small pond. He's talking about MLW, and then says, I came into Hard to Kill as a free agent, wanted to take on the guy in TNA, and he was confident about it. And then Hannafin's like, yeah, but LOL, you lost and you suck. And Hammerstone was like, no, I actually won because Josh Alexander was down and he rolled out of the ring. So technically I won. I'm thinking to myself, yeah, that's one heck of a way to explain it. And then he says, at Sacrifice, I went low. I was the smarter man that night, and I took something with me, that's the headgear, to remind Josh that this is his loss. And if he wants to do it again, he'll beat the hell out of Josh Alexander. Looks like we're going for a third match, Cresta. What do you think of this segment?
I don't know. Something about the way that Hammerstone was delivering this was very Steiner-esque. Like, screw you, Josh Alexander. I hate you so much. I took your stupid little headgear, and now I'm the best, but you tapped. Well, no, because technically he rolled out the ring the first time because he already knows he lost. So he wasn't even going to try. So the second, I was like, yo, I kind of live. I really do. I think Hammerstone is an amazing addition. I'm holding out. As good as this match is going to be, Hammerstone versus Jake something is the dream because that I don't want no 30-minute classic.
Oh, you didn't get one out of this match. Digital Media Championship, Crazy Steve retains against PCO. In my notes, it just says, just two freaks getting freaky.
This is TNA's version of Spooky Dad and his son. And since Sting retired, PCO is a supreme spooky dad.
And then spooky middle son, Khan, comes out, gets involved with his weapons, tosses him into the ring. PCO goes after middle-aged son Khan instead of finishing Crazy Steve. Khan side slams PCO spine first onto the chairs, set up on the outside, and PCO gets rolled up by Crazy Steve. The crazy son beats crazy old dad, and middle-aged son watches on.
I mean, what I don't understand the most about this is Khan, you lost. You couldn't wait. You couldn't wait. I mean, I guess. But at the same time, it's kind of like PCO would have gotten stabbed with a fork anyway. So I respect Crazy Steve for saying every time he steps in the ring, he's going to defend his title. Chekhov's chairs get you again, baby. You can't set them up and think nothing's going to happen. Also, I don't know. I feel like you should have thrown the match out once Khan started throwing stuff in the ring. Maybe I'd be a terrible ref. I got 1 HP and I think. I'm sorry.
You're thinking too much. Although it's more like, listen, you can toss the stuff into the ring, but the second you start to use it, that's when you do the disqualification.
Yeah. Like I said, I'd be a terrible ref. I'm the person distracted the ref. I'm Alicia Edwards. I'm like, oh, my ankle. You're not in this match. Oh, but ref, please. Okay, I can fine walk. Look, it's a miracle. I can walk. T.
So you're the distraction.
I wouldn't call it a distraction. I would say a timely injury.
Yeah. All right. I'll let that go. I'm not even going to push back at this point. Decay and MK Ultra end up backstage. Decay's like, hey, look, we got contractually obligated rematches. And I'm like, okay. And then MK Ultra show up and they're like, oh, LOL, so do we. And I'm like, it's also true. We just saw them last week, I should say, when MK Ultra and Decay came out to watch Spitfire defeat some enhancement talent. And now we're going to do Masha versus Rosemary, I guess.
I thought it was a tag team. Is it a singles?
Yes, because this is the problem. Rosemary refers to herself as us. She's always the plural. She's always the third person plural. And that's why a promo like this, I'm sitting there, I'm like, so many people are going to misunderstand what she's saying, but it's Masha versus Rosemary.
It's me. I'm people. I misunderstood. I'm like, all right, I thought these girls were fighting for a number one contendership for Spitfire, because I think it was last week we had the same conversation. And like, okay, MK Ultra, Decay, Spitfire. Who else are your tag teams for the Knockouts division?
Tasha Steelz needs a new partner.
I mean, not for nothing. After tonight, Tasha Steelz has passed away. She's moved on to the next life.
We'll talk about the main event afterwards. I'm sorry, folks. I'm really trying tonight. Eric Young comes out and he says Moose is the biggest bullseye in his back, and they'll revisit their business soon. They're not completed because Kazarian got involved in the match at Sacrifice. So Eric Young challenges Frankie Kazarian to a full metal mayhem match at Rebellion. It's not loser leaves TNA, but it's the next best thing. Two middle-aged men beating the shit out of each other with chairs, and their names aren't Con or PCO.
I mean, honestly, imagine if that's how we solved all of our problems. You got a problem with Uncle Frank? A full metal mayhem right outside. Right now, I've had it with you, Frank.
Not Uncle Frank.
Every year you do this crap.
This is like the airing of grievances.
I mean, is Frankie Kazarian not being Uncle Frank right now? Like, let it go. You're not hip. You're not cool. No one wears the scarf anymore. Uncle Frank outside right now, too. And Uncle Eric ain't even better. Uncle Eric, pack it up. Let these two crazy uncles fight. And we sit up in the rafters with my chips like...
And if you want to be Frank, come and join us over on Fightful Select, the best $5 in the business. You want a Fightful Select Discord? We got one. You want to know about Killer Kelly's big horror movie news? Baby, we broke that story. Looking forward to that, by the way. Motor City Machine Guns. You want a contract update? We got it over on FightfulSelect.com. Like I said, they're booked in London, Ontario the night after Rebellion. Maybe I'll see them and ask myself. But really, there's more info coming to Fightful Select all the time. Mauro Ranallo coming into MLW? Yeah, we had that. We had that on FightfulSelect.com. Where's John Moxley? FightfulSelect.com has the information you've been waiting for. Sean does a Q&A every week. Sour Graps twice a week, sometimes 3, sometimes 4 times in a week. They do a lot of talking over on FightfulSelect.com. The Weekender podcast with Steven Jensen, who will be here with me for the Post-Rebellion show. He's on FightfulSelect.com too. So what are you waiting for? Best $5 in the business? Get on the Discord. That's enough for you. Because Sean does Q&As there all the time. You want to ask him about obnoxious WrestleMania matches you might see? That's the place.
I'm on the Discord. I pop in sometimes. I pop in and say gorilla and I leave. No, I don't. I don't even do that. Because I'm there. You can ask me stuff. I'm there. Best $5 in the business. Fightful Select. Do it.
Let's go. You know who else is on our Discord? Well, it's probably not actually. Anyway. By Elegance has her 3rd match ever in TNA. She beats Silesia Sparks, someone I'm very familiar with here in the Ontario region. She's good. Anyway, they didn't kiss the hand spot. I thought that was cute. This, I don't, you know what? Forget the rest of the match. This is all I want to talk about. Ash by Elegance hits the rarefied air to finish the match. But not only does she hit it, she has to jump across the ring to Starkz, who was laying in the center. And I thought that was very impressive. The match itself wasn't much to it. It was okay. But that ending, that finish, that showed something to me that I haven't seen out of Ash by Elegance. I'm done with the bit for now. What do you think of the match? And then we'll talk about the post-match.
I think you hit the nail on the head. This was a regular standard. I'm still in my squashing phase. Starkz, the makeup looked good. The gear was real cute. I'll give this young lady her flowers. I don't even think they announced her name. They said her name during the match, and that's how I got her name. I could have swore they didn't announce her name.
Well, they did. It's just Jade was very monotone with it.
Okay. That's fair. I don't really have any notes. Most of my notes come from post-match. And honestly, I'm happy she's now finally getting an actual competitor so I can give her an actual, like, okay, let me see what's going to have happen.
Post-match, Ash decides to beat up on Starkz, and out comes Xia Brookside. She confronts Ash by Elegance, has her eyes on Xia Brookside, I should say. I don't know if this is going to be a Rebellion match or if this is going to be a tapings match in Philadelphia, because we still don't know the Knockouts Championship match. It feels like it's going to be Ash versus Jordynne Grace, but we haven't gotten there yet.
Yeah, we still got a month out. You're not wrong. My concern with Ash by Elegance right now, challenging Grace, girl, I could think of like at least 4 of the people who, in my opinion, are ahead of you. But I'm willing to take it slow. I'm willing to be like, okay, let's see how this match with Xia Brookside goes. Someone who just challenged Jordynne Grace and was just in a match with her and Tasha Steelz. So I think that'll be a good competitor. I would not want to put her in a position where we're trying to build her up just for her, because Jordynne Grace is a phenomenal competitor. I don't want to put Ash by Elegance in a position to challenge Jordynne Grace. And Jordynne Grace is like, girl, get the hell out of here, girl.
Are they really running an 8-4-1? Another 8-4-1 match? Please don't tell. I'm seeing it in the chat. I got to look this up. If they're running an 8-4-1 match at the TV tapings, I'm gonna speak into a microphone very angrily again.
He's just gonna scream.
I'm just going to scream. I can't find it. I'm listen. The person who's saying it is consistent with TNA stuff. They're on. Oh, here we go. There's a P-Show meet and greets. I see Bailey, Austin, Kushida. All right, whatever. I'm gonna leave it for now. If they're actually doing it.
Joel doesn't want to be this upset this late at night.
I don't want to be upset this late at night. I watch your blood pressure. Anyway, Dobby the Brain Heenan sends a super chat saying, thought it was a solid show tonight. Enjoyed the scramble match. Tag match was good. Main event was good too. I'll be at the tapings tomorrow night. Dobby, send me information. Send me spoilers. Send me all the things. Okay, please and thank you. I would appreciate that. DM.
Dobby the scoop man.
Listen, man. The person that was supposed to do it for me in Windsor wasn't able to do it, and I have feelings about that.
I don't know why. I just feel like it was Jeremy Lambert, so I'm blaming Jeremy.
Jeremy was not in Windsor. The person who was like, I can't keep up. And I was like, you got to be kidding me. Anyway, Nic Nemeth comes out, cuts a promo, says he went face to chest with Moose on his first night. I loved that line. I thought that was so stupid, but it was perfect. And then he says, when I came into TNA, I said I would earn my world title shot. And then Macklin stood up to him first, puts over Steve Macklin, says he pinned him, said I was here to stay, and now he gets his opportunity for the world title at Rebellion. And I'm thinking to myself, we're a month out. Why couldn't we have at least let this drag on a little bit longer? Because you and I talked about how much they could really make Nic Nemeth feel important going into Rebellion. They just kind of did the Macklin feud and the Rascals. And now he's getting the title shot. It just felt like we rushed it. I know they're doing the Shelley match in Philly. That's fine. But the match is already made for Rebellion.
Yeah. It kind of... I do a little dislike when you book matches for a title shot when there's a title shot coming up in between it. It kind of feels like that title shot before that big title shot is a foregone conclusion. Sometimes it is. I would like to have a little mystery. Let me enjoy it. Let me have my little thingy. I mean, I don't know what's going to happen with that. I do agree with you in the sense that we could have dragged out the Nic Nemeth thing. I think there's a lot more to go into it. But the problem, if you drag it out, in my opinion, is that means Nic Nemeth has to get a faction because the system, it just works. And unfortunately, in his case, in order for it not to work, you're going to need help. And you cannot ask the machine guns or time jacket or time splitters or machine gun pow pow gang or whatever it is. Like, you can't ask them because they're dysfunctional right now. And ABC got beef with Grizzled Young. There's too many variables. And I'm like, for all of that, might as well just get it out the way. Say what you need to say. Because anything else, you need a posse to deal with the system.
That you do, and the system comes out. Moose puts over Nemeth's accomplishments and says, "You beat a lot of things, but you haven't defeated the system." And that's it. I do like that this didn't devolve into a fight.
Yeah.
I like that they at least played it straight and they let it happen. Great. Other than that, I'm still like, why are we doing this? Like, why do we announce the match this early when we could have built a little more out of Nic Nemeth going for that title?
I think maybe the thought process is you've already won in New Japan. People know who you are. So maybe we can just fast track it to keep building on that momentum. That could only be the thought that I have. I'm not a booker. I just show up and I talk about stuff.
That is fair. And then we're into our main event for the Knockouts World Championship. Jordynne Grace takes on Tasha Steelz. Straightforward match, fairly short for an Impact main event. Tasha Steelz does not win the Knockouts World Championship. Jordynne Grace defends successfully with the Juggernaut Driver. What do you think of the match? Let's talk about it. Cresta Starr.
I enjoy Tasha Steelz' presentation. There's something gritty about her. But that girl got the power bomb. Every bit of her soul was power bombed out of her tonight. Whether it was a one-arm triangle power bomb, the Grace Driver, Juggernaut, she let that girl have it. And Tasha Steelz was literally like, "That's all you got. I didn't hear no daggone bell." I respect it. I gotta say also too, Jordynne Grace walking around the ring with Tasha Steelz up on her shoulder like this. I do this every week. I don't want to fight her ever in life, period. Whatever you said, you got it, bro, because that's disrespectful. And the only thing that stopped Grace this match was her legs giving out, just carrying around Steelz so much. Steelz is a hell of a competitor, but Jordynne Grace, she's literally a juggernaut. That's why I'm like, for someone like Ash like Elegance, what are you gonna do? Unless literally Iceman maces her, and even then, I don't think, love. I don't. And I want a modicum of, you can actually beat this girl. You know what I mean? And I don't think she's there yet.
There's something larger at play, and that's for the people who have been watching TNA for a long time. The idea that you do Ash by Elegance in the Knockouts title match, Mustafa Ali is defending the X Division Championship at Rebellion, and Nic Nemeth is going to be up for the World Championship. These are all former long-term WWE stars. And if you put the title on all of them in their first few months, it's not the best look. And it's something that TNA has done before. And it's always gotten flack in the past. And sometimes rightfully so. Sometimes, listen, when the right fit is there, it's great. But if you time it that they all do, it feels a little strange to me.
I can understand that. I can understand that sentiment. And I think that's not just a TNA thing. I think that's across the board. And it's not necessarily their fault. For a long time, WWE was the only show in town. So if that's where you wanted to make money, that's where you went. So I get that sentiment. But also, too, I think if the iron is hot, strike while the iron's hot. Don't wait, and then nobody cares anymore.
Yeah, that's fair. The match itself with Grace and Steelz, again, there's some good stuff in there. They go shot for shot. They know how to do this. The counters towards the finish, those are really good. A lot of back and forth. Grace misses the Vader bomb. Steelz hits slice bread number 2. That stuff is great. But of course, in the end, she retains, does Jordynne Grace. And now we're all wondering who's next. And I guess we're going to find out in the next few weeks because TNA has more tapings coming in Philadelphia this weekend. Dobby the Brain Heenan will be there. I will not, unless somebody wants to pay for me to go to Philly. I don't think so.
I mean, come on. Don't you all love Joe Pearl? Look at his face. Isn't he neat?
I got
Don't
enough
you
going
want
on.
to pay for his WrestleMania seat?
I don't want it. I don't.
I tried.
My ass does not to pay for those things. Anyway, point being, sorry.
Nah, you're fine. It's late.
Anyway, let's get out of here before I say something wildly inappropriate. Cresta Starr, what's going on?
Ladies and gentlemen, we really appreciate you being here every late night Thursday and Saturdays, where you can find me here talking about Impact Wrestling with Joel Pearl, aka TNA, and on Saturdays, AEW Collision with Iridian, Riccicino, and sometimes Sean Ross Sapp. I will not be here for Mania weekend. I think Joel Pearl is going to be the only person at Fightful headquarters during Mania weekend.
I've been asked, hey, what's your availability? I'm like, I'm around, especially in the evenings. So I don't know. Maybe I'll be on every friggin' show at this point.
Joe Pearl, whoop, whoop.
I was asked by Sean, are you doing a TNA post show? I'm like, well, we'll be 2 weeks out from a pay-per-view at that point, so I should probably do it. I'm starting to realize why he asked, because you won't be here.
I mean, I'm probably going to bring my laptop, but that's neither here nor there, guys. Follow me on X. It's Cresta the Star. There is a playlist to all of these TNA post shows from the very beginning, and the same thing with the Collision. Keep your eyes on my YouTube. I'm going to be updating it soon. Joe Pearl, where can the folks at home find you?
Not hard to find. I am at Joel Pearl, JoelPearl. Interview with Evil Uno drops eventually. Just keep it on FightfulSelect.com. We'll tell you when it is. I've done the cut. I've done the notes. They're going to be there. It's going to be great. Have fun with it. In the Weeds every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Jeremy Lambert and I do it on Fightful Overbooked. Go subscribe to that channel now. That's our ESPN 2. And of course, I'm here every Thursday with Cresta the Star. We'll break it down. Next week will be even more chipper. How about that? Okay.
Yeah, we'll get sleep.
I wouldn't go that far. Anyway, until then,
that's true.
JoelPearl, ladies and gentlemen, friends beyond the binary, we will see you in the next one.